Let's talk about a health crisis that's happening right now, probably in the very chair you're sitting in. It's not some new virus, but our modern, comfortable lifestyles. Well, they've created this silent, invisible threat. We're going to break down what this inactivity pandemic really is, and more importantly, what on earth we can do about it.
I mean, just think about it. Thanks to incredible advances in medicine, in sanitation, in nutrition, human life expectancy has absolutely skyrocketed. We've gotten so good at fighting off infectious diseases, and it's allowing people to live longer than at any other point in history. It's a truly monumental achievement.
But here's the weird part, the paradox. Even though we're living all these extra years, we're also seeing this global surge in chronic diseases. Things like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers. It's like our longer lives came with a catch. So, what's the deal? Well, the culprit is hiding in plain sight. It's not a germ, it's not some mystery illness, it's a behavior that has become the default setting for millions and millions of us.
Researchers have a name for it, metabolic overload. And it's actually a really simple but kind of devastating formula. On one side, you've got our modern diets packed with easy-to-get, high-calorie foods. And on the other side, a serious, profound lack of physical movement. You put those two together and you just overwhelm our body's system for processing energy. The consequences are pretty severe.
Okay, let this number really sink in for a second. According to the World Health Organization, just being physically inactive is the fourth leading cause of death on the entire planet. That's right, simply not moving enough is a bigger killer than a lot of diseases we hear about all the time. This isn't some minor issue, it's one of the biggest threats to our health today.
In fact, the problem is so huge, so widespread, that health experts are now arguing we need to call it what it is, a pandemic. A pandemic with consequences that ripple out and affect our health, our economies, and honestly, our whole society.
So, the big question is, how do we fight back? Well, the very first step is to get our vocabulary straight. We have to understand the tools we have, and that means getting really clear on two words we throw around all the time, but that mean very different things: physical activity and exercise.
Here's the main difference, and it's super important. Physical activity is any movement your body does. It's just part of daily life. Exercise, on the other hand, is a specific type of activity that you do on purpose with a goal, usually to get fitter or stronger. One is general, the other is targeted.
So, think of it this way. Physical activity is the foundation. It's any time you're not sitting still, basically. Walking the dog, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, carrying in the groceries, that's all physical activity.
And exercise. Exercise is the next level up. It's intentional. It's that run you plan in the morning, the gym session after work, or soccer practice. It's structured, and it's what gives us some really unique and powerful health benefits.
And that brings us to this amazing idea of movement as medicine. Because when you exercise, you're not just burning off a few calories. Oh no. You are kicking off this incredible cascade of powerful, positive biological changes deep inside your body. First, let's look at what happens when we don't move. Being inactive creates this state of chronic, low-level inflammation that's just simmering throughout your body all the time. This inflammation produces these nasty little molecules called reactive oxygen species, or ROS, and they basically go around attacking your cells. Over time, that cellular damage is a major driver of so many chronic diseases.
But exercise? Exercise is the perfect antidote. It comes in and completely flips the script. Consistent exercise actually fights that inflammation, it boosts your body's own natural antioxidant defenses, and it makes your cells way more responsive to insulin. The bottom line is, exercise isn't just about preventing problems, it's actively therapeutic.
Okay, so we know why it works. The next logical question is, all right, how much do I actually have to do? And the good news here is that the official recommendations are surprisingly simple and totally achievable.
So here it is, the basic weekly prescription for adults. The minimum target is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week. A super easy way to think about that is just 30 minutes 5 days a week. Or if you're short on time and want to crank up the intensity, you can hit the same goal with just 75 minutes of vigorous activity. But what do moderate and vigorous actually feel like? It's simpler than you think. Moderate is when you can still talk, but you probably couldn't sing a song. Think a really brisk walk. Vigorous is when you're breathing hard and fast and you can only gasp out a few words at a time. That's your jog or playing a sport where you're really moving.
And hey, it is not just about getting your heart rate up. The guidelines also make it super clear that we need muscle strengthening activities.
The goal is to work all your major muscle groups at least 2 days a week. This is absolutely critical for keeping our muscle and our metabolism healthy, especially as we get older.
So now we get to the final piece of the puzzle. And it might be the most important one. It's all about changing how we think about this. We have to stop seeing movement as a chore and start seeing it for what it really truly is.
And look, we all know the excuses, right? Because they're real. Life is busy, we're exhausted, we have work and family pulling us in a million directions. These are real challenges, and the number one reason people give for not exercising is, I just don't have time.
But what if we just reframe that goal? You don't have to carve out a solid 30 or 60-minute chunk of your day. The science is clear that breaking it up works just as well. 3 brisk 10-minute walks, 1 in the morning, 1 at lunch, 1 after dinner, gets you to your 30-minute daily goal. All of a sudden, that feels a whole lot more doable, right?
But if you're still thinking, what's the big deal? Let me ask you this. How much damage can one lazy week on the couch really do? Well, the answer might actually shock you.
That's right. I'm going to say it again. One analysis found that being inactive for a full week carries a health burden that's roughly the same as smoking an entire pack of cigarettes. When you frame the risk like that, wow, the choice to get up and move becomes a lot clearer.
Which brings us to the ultimate point. Just imagine if a drug company invented a pill that did everything exercise does, slash your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, all while boosting your mood and your brain function. It would be the biggest selling drug in history. Every single doctor would prescribe it to every single patient. Well, guess what? That wonder drug already exists. It's not in a bottle, it's not at the pharmacy. It's just our own body's ability to move. It's free. It's accessible to almost everyone, and its only side effects are things like having more energy and feeling better. So the only question left is, what's your first dose going to be?